sort of along the same lines.
Oh,
there was a story about an AI fighter pilot.
Oh, fucking hell, that's cool.
Which is cool.
Yes.
So it beating this American Air Force colonel who
was a bit of a badass
pilot, and in every single instance of like a dogfight, I guess is what it was, this AI autonomous jet, sort of simulation, obviously. I mean, they didn't really do this, but in simulation, he's completely owned by it every time.
It was inevitable that was going to happen.
It was just better than the human pilot every time. A bit like the chess playing AIs or the Go playing AI. You know, just being okay. Now we've got this domain of human activity. We have a machine that is better at humans than it every time.
Yeah, just slowly eroding away our capabilities. Is there a film?
Makes sense.
Have you seen? I haven't actually seen it. I think there's a film, a shit film called Stealth.
No, not seen it.
Right, so I think that's about like an AI plane that goes rogue or some bollocks. I can't remember. And
that sounds shit.
And I think there's human pilots, and they're kind of, you know, it's about human pilots being better than the robot or something like that.
Oh right.
Eventually, I don't know.
They have to like work together.
Probably. But yeah, this is what's going to happen. I mean, we're going to end up with autonomous, not just drones like type things where they just kind of hover and shoot the odd missile off, but planes capable of dogfighting better than human pilots. And that would be the next generation of aircraft. You know, they might not have pilots.
Yeah. It makes no sense if your enemy is capable of producing planes that can just 100% of the time take your pilots out of the sky. Then obviously that you're going to do the same. I mean, it just escalates in that way, doesn't it?
And things, you know, you don't put a pilot in, you haven't got to worry about G-forces, you haven't got to worry about getting, you know, fatigue, all this kind of stuff. You just got it can
pull maneuvers that
a monster machine in there that just has no, you know, it's
that's a good
just
point. G-force. Don't worry about G-force.
It's just a beast. It can fly more extreme turns, it can fly faster, it can fly longer, etc., and it's more skillful. Now.
Yeah, I mean it's
just the obvious replacement. It's like you won't have fighter pilots soon.
You won't have fighter pilots, no. So you just see this trend of just people being more and more distant from combat, which has obviously been going on for centuries, really. Yeah. Well, mostly the last century.
It kind of has in terms of even moving from sword fighting to guns. I mean, The combat distance is going up, and you know, big battleships are no longer used with the big cannons on the sides. They were used at the end of World War II, but they started getting battered up by like, cruisers and things with missiles and planes. Yeah. All that shit, you know, it's just getting further and further away. Where it's just drone ships fighting, and everyone's, you know, it's just a big game of Call of Duty, basically. Yeah.
And now in wars, when you know. So back in the early 20th century, you know, the First World War, they were like 10,000 people were dying a day or something ridiculous. Maybe more, but in in single battles, like the Somme and stuff. Like tens of thousands of people were just dying. Yeah, just
cannon fodder, just going over the trenches.
And now in wars now, the numbers are way lower, and we are shocked by way lower numbers. You know, you'll hear death, like certain X number of soldiers have been killed in. You know, in some battle somewhere, and it's like a helicopter's been shot down or something like that, and that's like a big deal. And we see the news of the soldiers being returned and all this stuff, the bodies and all this stuff. You know, like it's a big deal. So like our sort of not tolerance, but our like expectation from war.
Perspective has just changed.
Yeah. So and again, this is like another step further removed. So casualties of war are going to be probably lower as a result of this.
Well, they may be lower, but it depends. I mean, they'll certainly be lower on the technologically advanced side. Yeah. I mean, you know, if you're fighting a bunch of people, like sort of, you know, ISIS type. Yeah. I mean, they're going to be worse off.
They're going to be worse off for sure, but then they're still not going to be taking the casualties like people in the First World War were taking.
Oh, no. But that's just because there's not enough people fighting for that.
Yeah. And the warfare is very different style.
If you had... Say you had the same warfare, World War One. Yeah. Okay. Except one side suddenly got like autonomous, you know, fighter jets. It's just like carpet bombing the shit out of the trenches. Then you have ridiculous casualties. I don't know what my point is there, but you know, you're essentially. It depends on the context of the warfare. Yeah, Generally, wars are kind of more small, localized things now that happen in kind of flashpoint regions, as opposed to
big.
You can't have giant like superpower wars anymore, because everyone will just nuke the crap out of each other, and it will be the end of everyone.
But say you have
hopefully.
But say you do have two sides that have access to this kind of technology.
Yeah, then that is just a. But then if one of them wins, then eventually
it's just a game of chess. It's just a very, very expensive game of chess. If you have two just robots fighting robots, autonomous planes fighting autonomous planes. Well, I doubt a situation like that would actually really arise.
Probably not.
But
it might do. But you would hope not. But
it's like we might as well just not do that. We might as well just sit down and
have a game of cards.
Play cards. Play I don't know, some
the best
really
poker
basic
players. But eventually, if you're having a war, like an all-out war between two countries, say, they're battling out robot style. It's like fucking Robot Wars. Okay, it's crazy. Sergeant Bash going mental.
Yeah,
like they just and then they win. The house robots win. Okay, and they come through, and then the civilian or the population, the actual people controlling it, are then just going to be rinsed by all the. So the robot fighting will happen in the middle, but then as soon as it actually comes to that barrier's been broken down and the invading force, I mean, maybe you just surrender at that point.
Yeah, you'd have to, wouldn't you? Because you're not going to be able to fight robots.
No.
Like armies of Terminators and stuff. That's what I'm imagining. But I guess. So
you could have a lot of casualties, for example, in that sense, if the other side didn't back down and you were just bombing military bases and stuff with like Terminator type things.
Yeah. The actual effect of this kind of technology would probably end up being a bit like any sort of really advanced weaponry, would be more of a deterrent than anything. You know, just the knowledge your enemy has access to this kind of technology would probably put you off doing X, Y, and Z.
There's certain things that are definitely deterrents. A
deterrence in the sense that it would change your tactics. Like, you're not just going to rush in and start shooting if you know that your enemy it would just mow you down with an autonomous.
Yeah, I mean most of the things that are developed between the US and China and these sorts of the very high level technology are way more advanced than is necessary to combat.
Yeah, exactly.
Things in they're not. People still die in the US and UK and whatever the Western militaries that are fighting various other places around the world. So you want to minimise that, and therefore the technology isn't perfect because you're still getting deaths. But if you have two superpowers like standing off between like China and the US, I mean, they're kind of just building these ridiculous. They're kind of it's an arms race. It's always an arms race.
Yeah,
you're always getting that tension between the two.
Yeah,
to try and build, the most advanced thing that can. The best air superiority fighter or whatever, just in case it comes to, a war, and in case, say, China decides to fight the US has the knowledge at the moment they have the best air superiority fighter, the Raptor in the world.
Yeah.
And they have, like, exclusivity on that. So that's kind of like a safety net, like a deterrent, I suppose, like you were saying.
Yeah.
That they would be confident that they could win an air battle at any point. So it's just kind of this... They're probably never going to come to it. You'd hope they would never come to it, like superpowers fighting, but they always feel like they need to have that military thing in case.
Yeah, and they kind of do, just because of the world we currently live in.
Yeah.
If you don't have, well, I mean, maybe it wouldn't just all collapse into one country taking over the world, but you can't just let one country just build a shitload of really great military technology, and everyone else just be like, it'll probably be fine, just leave it. So you kind of have to respond by also building your own stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Unless you can unanimously agree unilaterally that everyone stops building any military stuff.
Yeah, and everyone's cool with that.
And everyone's cool with it. I mean, even then, people still be doing it in secret. But places like, imagine there's so many places in the world that are just there's never ever would do that.
No.
So you can't therefore.
You can't rely on everybody to just sort of sit.
You can't rely on it to be perfect. So therefore, you probably always have to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Probably.
Yeah. So other stuff from this technology. This is just another example, as I was saying earlier, of just AI eroding, as you were saying, like eroding more of the human activity, just being better than humans at doing certain things. And it's probably going to have, just developing something like this for military applications, it's probably going to have like trickle down implications for a whole bunch of other sort of autonomous pilots. Vehicles, autonomous pilots for commercial planes. just like fast information like graphics processing, like stuff that will be really useful for
situational awareness kind of type processing that makes very quick decisions about the like
very complex environments very, very rapidly.
Decision making based on threats, all this sort of stuff. You probably fold that sort of kind of technology into autonomous vehicles that are worrying about crashes and all this sort of stuff, and
just where ultimately make things safer.
Yeah,
because you tend to find that things that are adapted for military technology end up being rolled out for civilian use.
Yeah,
and in a hugely beneficial way.
Yeah, often. I mean,
like nukes.
Well, yeah, nuclear power, fission.
Fucking good point.
I mean, nukes the bombs.
The bombs aren't particularly great for human use.
No, but we've adapted like nuclear reactors for all sorts of power things, to power Mars rovers, to power cities, etc., etc. War is a very
rockets.
good forcer of technological development. The fastest technological developments that have happened in human history, or not the fastest, but at least the growth spurt points are like the World Wars. World War II was a huge change in technology over that.
Like aircraft, rocketry. All that stuff came from... Well, aircrafts existed before World War II, but after World War II, they were honed. Like the designs were honed. Shipping
Space
and
rockets
stuff.
Basically came from World War II.
Rockets did, in a big way, yeah.
Just loads, ridiculous amounts of stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of technology could definitely be useful.
Yeah. Plus, there is something seriously cool about an AI fighter jet.
Yeah, there is. And maybe...
A bit Skynet.
It is a bit Skynet. It's a bit. This is the sort of thing, the sovereign AI that wants to take over. Before you get to that point, you're probably gonna have a lot of jets that are AI controlled and very hackable.
And they would be probably
not hackable, but
they'd be networked because it would be useful for them to be networked.
Yeah, that's the other thing is hacking these types of things is a danger once they're totally autonomous. But all these like next generation fighter things are all going to be. They're all a part of their countermeasure suite will all be like crazy kind of hacking countermeasures. Electronic warfare basically is going to be part of the payloads in them, as opposed to just old-fashioned rockets and missiles and stuff.
Because that's going to be such a crucial failure point for the whole thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, absolutely.
But maybe you're right. You could envisage a future where you just have robot battles, and whoever loses the robot battle just has to surrender, and you don't really get human deaths very often.
So you just have we're all going to send our robots to some really distant, uninhabited place, the middle of the Antarctic ice sheet.
I don't think it's going to happen like that. Yeah,
just let them fight over there.
Yeah,
and then whoever wins that, then that's the end of it.
That's it.
We'll just surrender. So I guess that the fact that we don't already do that now means that it probably wouldn't happen in the future.
Probably not. If China attacked the US, then they wouldn't they declared war. They'd just start flying in stuff to attack military bases and whatnot.
Yeah, so the places, the manufacturing plants for the robots or whatever.
Yeah. So there wouldn't be. You wouldn't be like, right, let's organise a little showdown.
Yeah, like a boxing match or something.
Yeah, because you could do that now.
Yeah, if that was a viable way of having wars, it would already happen now.
Yeah.
It's not like a technological barrier to that happening.
Yeah. You just take basically in that war, you just take every advantage you can. Yeah. And the advantage of attacking facilities and getting in there early and whatever, and not planning things, not letting your enemy know what's going to happen is that's how wars work. So.
Yeah.
Probably
the actual AI behind that plane, the system that was doing the flying,
yes,
was one of these
in the simulator
fuzzy tree. Yeah, sorry, in the simulator, one of these fuzzy tree decision algorithm things.
Right.
That just prioritizes decisions, so it doesn't have to compute everything at once.
Oh yeah.
And because of that, they use some really small processor compute. The amount of computing power they have is equivalent to one of those Raspberry Pi. Credit card sized.
Oh, little school to teach kids how to code type computers.
Yeah.
Was there fuzzy trees type stuff in the AlphaGo? Something like that was.
Yeah, I think it uses that kind of approach anyway.
Because that was all about, instead of computing doing mass number crunching, it was computing the priorities.
Yeah. Exactly.
Identifying.
Yeah, exactly that kind of approach. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, because what this one is a genetic fuzzy tree, and that is actually a specific type of AI. And I'm not sure if AlphaGo is that or not. It may well be, but it might not be.
I think it had...
People who know about machine learning are probably like...
These guys are idiots.
You guys are idiots.
Yeah, well, we don't know anything about it, really. But I think, from what I remember, AlphaGo was like a mixture of certain things like that and other various, types of different techniques, AI techniques.
Yeah, sure. But this thing will continue to learn as well. So it will continue to sort of acquire like a library of situations and things to enable it to narrow that priority tree.
Yes.
For future sort of scenarios.
Right. So it does machine learning.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.